Okay, so as we said in the last video was all about taxes. This is part 5 where we're going to look at subsidies. So pretty much repetition of taxes. There's just a few differences. Well, one difference really. Okay, so if you notice here, exactly the same as last time. There's going to be a different customer price and a different producer price. So we can't have P and P. We need to change the equations to have producer price and price for the customer. PC, price for customer. PP, price for producer. So if we flick on, as we can see here, it's pretty much the same as we just did for the taxes in part 4. Now, but this is, instead of it saying -3, it's a subsidy of €3 per unit. So it's plus, okay, because the government's given some money. Where in taxes it's taken the money, so it's -3. So in this case, this is a producer price will be 3 more than the customer price because the producers are getting €3, where before it was -3. They were getting €3 less than the customer price because they had to give that to the government. Okay, so if we quickly look down here, exactly the same as we did last time, apart from this plus sign here changes it a little bit. Okay, so we need to change the PP to the PC plus 3, like we've got up there. So we've got PC on each side, so we can work it out for PC. And then we add the 30 to each side. Okay, so we get rid of the -30, we've got 130 there now. Then we're going to multiply the PC plus 2, okay, and so 2 times 3, 6, to get rid of the brackets. And then we add, instead of adding the 6 this time, we're going to take the 6 away because it's a positive, so we're going to take it away from each side to move it over there. So 130 becomes 124. Then we need to add the 2PC, okay, to get rid of it from this side to put it onto there. So then we're left with 124 equals 4PC, so we need to divide both sides by 4, which leaves us with €31 for the customer price. Same as last time then, we still need to know what price the producer receives. And we just use this formula here like we did last time. We know that the price for customers is €31, so we can just put 31 plus 3, and we've got the price for the producers, €34. Okay, so moving on to the next slide, exactly the same with the taxes. We know what the new equilibrium prices for both the consumer and the producer is, so we just put that into the formulas, and we get 38 litres. Okay, and we get 38 litres here, okay, once we've worked it out. So press pause, have a look at that, but same we did for taxes, we're doing for subsidies to find the new equilibrium quantity. A little bit different than the incidence of tax, the subsidy is all about benefits. So rather than talking about a burden and the incidence of tax being a burden, we're talking about, well, what benefit does the customer get from the subsidy? What's their benefit? What do they get? So we know the original equilibrium price was €32.5. We also know the new price that the customer gets. Remember, the customer and the producer gets different prices. The price that the customer gets is €31. So again, that they pay. So that's €1.50 less than they used to pay. So therefore, we do €1.50 over the total subsidy. Let's go back. Total subsidy, which is 50%. Okay, so we can do the same for the producer now, and again, this is a benefit. The producer is not having any burden. They are receiving money, but how much of that money depends on the elasticity. So we can already presume that it's going to be 50% because the consumers is 50%, so therefore the producers must be 50%. But we can work it out just to make sure. The original price that the producers got was 32.5 euros, as we can see there. The new price they get with the subsidy is 34 euros, which we got from the equilibrium price. Therefore, they get 1.5 euros more. So 1.5 divided by 3, the total amount of subsidy is 50%. So their benefit is 50%. Unlike the tax, we're not working out how much tax revenue the government gets. We're working out how much they pay, because the subsidy, they're paying money out. But in exactly the same way, we know that the new equilibrium quantity is 38. So we take the quantity and we multiply it by the subsidy per unit, which we know is 3 euros. So 38 times 3. So the cost to the government of providing this subsidy, the total cost is 114 euros, because it costs 3 euros per litre and they're selling 38 litres. Okay, same as last time, we now need to draw a diagram with all the information on that we know. So like last time, we've just sketched it out very quickly, so it's not in scale, because if it was, for example, the gap between there and there and here and here would be the same, because it's 1.5 and 1.5, but we can see it's slightly out. But it's still fine for what we need it for, because we just want to remind ourselves what shapes we need to work out. So it's not perfect. So first one is consumer surplus. Like last time, we just draw the original consumer surplus on, so everything above the original price and below the demand curve. Okay, work it out. So 17.5 times by 35, okay, divided by 2 is 306.25. So exactly the same before, because this is the original consumer surplus, so we didn't really need to work it out again, but for sake of completeness we have done. Then we work out the new consumer surplus. So this time the price that the consumer pays is 31, so they get a bigger surplus. So now it's 38 times 19, because they also, because of the lower price, demand more. So 38 times 19, 361 euros. So they have an increased consumer surplus, 54.75. So we take the old consumer surplus from the new consumer surplus, and we see we have an increase in consumer surplus of 54.75 euros. Okay, so I should put euros there. Next slide, do the same for producer surplus. The producer surplus, the original producer surplus is exactly the same as for before with the tax, 306.25. Again, go over the previous video if I'm going over this too fast, because we covered it in there. And again, because there's more producer surplus now, because the suppliers get this extra bit of money from the government, this subsidy, their surplus also increases, which means 38 times 19 divided by 2, 361 euros. So again, the same as a producer surplus, because these are the same. So 54.75 euros is their increase in producer surplus. We've already worked this out, the cost of the subsidy, but we can do it on the diagram. As we can see there, the quantity we get is 38, times it by 3, the subsidy, and this rectangle represents the whole subsidy, which is 114 euros, which we already worked out. Moving on, the social surplus is the producer and the consumer surplus added together. Sometimes it's called community surplus or welfare to society, and we just add up the original that we did, so the same as it was for the tax, 612.5, but now with the subsidy, both the consumer and producer surplus has increased to 361 plus 361, so 722, which means overall there's been an increase of surplus to society, so the community surplus or welfare to society, of 109.5 euros. However, the government has paid for this subsidy, but they've paid 114 euros, which is more than the extra benefit that society got in terms of welfare. So therefore, there's 4.5 euros that have gone missing somewhere that no one's benefiting from. Consumers aren't benefiting from it. The producers aren't benefiting from it. The government's not benefiting from it. So there's a welfare loss of 4.5 euros. Like we did with taxes, we can also do this on the for subsidies. Look at the deadweight loss. Okay, so we just draw the triangle where the deadweight loss is. 3 times 3 divided by 2, 4.5 euros. So exactly the same. It just confirms what we did on the last slide. Okay, I'm going to stop there. We're going to do quick price elasticity of demand as a short video in part 6.